Everyone, and welcome to the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am so excited to bring in this week's guest who's going to talk about leadership and how to really help you guys focus in customer using it through customer engagement. So that's going to be really, really cool for you. So really quick, you definitely don't want to miss this week's show. So, but before we bring up our next guest, top tips of the week. So let's go dive into that. So really, we're going to be talking and emphasizing this week on the 3 team building tips. Because let's face it, when you have a team, you have to be able to be willing to work with them. And in order for them to stick with you, in order for them to stick with you, you have to really be able to hi Zach, we're not quite done yet, but you can hang out with us. So just wanted to let you know who's Zach, our guest. So really quick, we're just talking about the 3 team building top tips. So let's just say you have built a steady business, but are overwhelmed with being a solo entrepreneur. Well, then it's time to start really hiring qualified team members to help free up your time so that you can focus on what you love doing, right? Wouldn't you agree, Zach? I mean, that's pretty common. And then it is critical to hire the right employees and train and retain your essential for long-term growth. It's like crucial to have that. So here's some top 3 team building tips. 1, hire. Have a clear interview process to attract your top talent so that it's perfect and so that it's a perfect fit for your culture and for your company. 2, you want to make sure you train them properly. Train them by investing in their future for your business, by spending time to keeping your employees engaged, challenged, and motivated so that they will stick with you long term, by training them so that they can improve on the skills that they have and learn new ones along the way that they can add to their skills and to your value of your company. And one of the things that you're going to learn from Zach is how to do that. Then the other part is retain. You need to be able to stay competitive by offering them incentives and bonuses and rewards for doing a good job performance. That's really super important. So, would you like for us to help you do a free business assessment? Then please schedule a 30-minute consultation with me at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. We will definitely be putting that in our YouTube channel and on the Liberty Virtual page as well. So today's guest is going to be talking about team building through gaming, which is a unique, engaging way to educate and retain your team. So without further ado, I hope I can bring in my guest, who is supposed to be here, but is not on here at the moment. So let me let's see. Hold on a second. Okay, I think we got Zach back. Are you we see you now? You're connecting to it? Yes. Welcome to the world of gremlins. Okay, there are Zoom gremlins, there are internet gremlins, there are fatty finger gremlins, you name it, there's a gremlin attached, and they are real, right, Zach? So well, welcome back.
Yes, they're real.
They are definitely real. So welcome back to the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast with your host, Marie Mason, and our wonderful guest, Zac Jarrard. Is that the correct way of pronouncing your name? I hope I got it right. Is that correct? Okay. And then
yep, Zac Jarrard.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And he is a fearless gaming leader from Missouri, from the state of Missouri in the United States. And he is the owner of Gerard Consulting Llc. And today's topic is on team building through gaming. So I hope I positioned you correctly, because one of the things I mentioned in my 3 top tips is training and investing in your business's future by investing time in training your employees so that they can stay motivated and on top of their gaming, not just their gaming skills, but their skills in general, so that they can be on top of their game at work. No pun intended, by the way. If you aren't laughing at least once during our show, just check your pulse. But anyway, long story short, I really am thrilled to have you here because you have so much of experience in this area, and you really like helping people through assisting them in supporting clients via best practices in project management and gamification. You hold a master's science in the information systems and business analytics. I do know how to speak. I just need to slow down to speak. But anyway, there's also an MPA and an MBA, and also from the Park University. Is that the name of the university? Just making sure I have it correct. Okay. His research interests include gamification, which you're going to have to explain to me what that is, innovation and project management. And outside, hey, there's some terms that are new to me. I have been out of college for 30 plus years. You can only imagine. We didn't have that in our school at the time. Anyway, and then outside of his company, Zac is heavily involved in the community and also is a proud ASQ member who serves at the chair of the Kansas City section. And Zac is an Eagle Scout who aspires to make the world a better place for everyone, which I think a lot of us would agree with you on that. We all need much, much better environments than we have had in the recent past. So I'm trying to put my P's and Q's on that one, by the way. So anyway, take it away, Zac. Welcome. Come on down. We're so happy to have you. I do have to ask you, and you probably knew this coming in there, what is gamification?
Sure. Well, I think this is a great question. And, thank you for having me on this podcast. Really looking forward to it. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And Marie's got a great podcast, great business. So check out all the awesome stuff she's doing. And just to tell you a little bit about my company before I get into gamification, my company is Gerard Consulting Llc. We offer fun, action-packed, outcome-based team building activities using games for organizations and also K-12 groups. And we offer project management services. So I could come in, help manage a project for your organization or team. I could help with prioritization and also project management training. So helping you keep up to speed on the latest and greatest project management agile methods. So Marie, to go back to your question, gamification involves the use of game mechanics to achieve some kind of outcome. And so imagine you're at an organization, your organization's got goals. Maybe they want to make money. If it's a nonprofit, they want to grow capacity or serve more people in the community. If it's government, they want to serve more people in the community. They want to save money. So there's organizational goals, but then there's also individual goals. People want to be better at work. They want to get recognized for what they do. And so where those goals overlap is where gamification could come in, and looking at those goals and then how you get people to achieve them or pursue them. That combination creates a game. And games have been around for all of human history. If we go back to prehistoric humans, which was a long time ago,
ages ago,
they would be out hunting and they would have bones and they would stack them together and create the game that we know today as dominoes.
Oh, really?
And if we go to the medieval times, so in parts of India, but also Europe, kings and queens would play chess. And so that's where we started to see board games come to life. And today we have a massive proliferation of games. We have board games, which sales have exploded on those since the pandemic because a lot of us have been at home, but also digital games. We have zombie games, we have Minecraft, Roblox, all kinds of different games. I could play probably 100 different games on my phone if I really wanted to.
Only
And
if your phone can handle them in the space capacity. I'm telling you, sometimes you don't have enough space for all of them. You mentioned one of them. Minecraft's very popular in my son's high school, and oh my gosh, his age range just goes gaga over Minecraft. So anyway, yeah, so it's a very popular game. But you have
right.
other insights on that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And what makes gamification unique today is the technology. So in the past, like I'd be at home playing a board game with maybe a couple people. And so the game experience and benefits would be limited. But with technology, you can scale it. And we
Right.
see that today with commercial games. There's people that play from all over the world. I could log into my console or PC and interact with people from literally everywhere. And with our organizations, just like how we're using tools right now to do this podcast or to run our business, games are the same way. With technology, you can scale that game experience and get a much bigger benefit for your organization than you would have in the past. And so that's what makes gamification unique and a major trend today. To go back to what you're saying earlier, you'd brought up Minecraft. I think I mentioned it earlier. For our viewers that are not aware of it, Minecraft is a fun digital game, and it's basically digital Legos. Players take digital blocks and they get to build vast digital worlds. They get to fight cartoon monsters and work
Some
in
of them are really
teams.
creepy too. I'm just
Yep,
saying.
they can be creepy. There's the Enderman. There's a creeper, so they'll walk up to you, start flashing. And what's funny is about a creeper, originally it was a glitch in the game, so it was never meant to be there. But then they
Wow.
decided to keep it. And so it'll keep flashing and they'll explode. You've got skeletons, you've got zombies, baby zombies, which run around and chase you. Kind of
This
like a
sounds
little
so
kid.
funny, and this sounds so funny when you hear it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right. And so this game came out in 2009. It was developed by Mojang, and Microsoft acquired them in 2014. And since the game has come out, they've done all kinds of updates to it, and educators have caught on to it. They developed the education edition version of the game very early on, and it's used by K-12 organizations all over the world. In higher education, it's used too. And that's where I sort of got introduced to it. So I've been playing video games my whole life. I remember, I think I was 3 or 4, and I found a Game Boy at a garage sale, and I started playing Mario, Pokemon games. Then
oh, the Nintendo was the original game maker, as I recall. And I remember in the 80s, I still have the original Game Boy from that orange back, with the orange color. And I found it recently when we did some cleaning out in the storage recently this summer, and I kept it and preserved it, and all it needed was a new battery. And now my son goes gaga over it. And it's like, oh my gosh, you have an original. And I'm like, he's like, boy, we come a long way though. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a new thing to him. So anyway, I think it was like a Donkey Kong or something like that. So remember the Donkey Kong ones? I don't know.
maybe
I don't
like
know.
the
Anyway,
first Mario game.
yeah, I'd love to know what other people's experiences are with when they first started gaming and getting exposed to video games. I'm kind of curious what their first one was, if they can remember that far back. But anyway, I'm just curious. But yeah, so
No,
Dr. Dan,
I think
the chat. Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And so as I got older, I got to play some more advanced games. And then when I turned 13, I started playing online with people from all over the world. And I remember I kept a list of different cities that people were from. And if I met someone that was from Chicago, let's say, I'd ask them, what's it like in your city? And if I were to visit there, what would you recommend I see, or what is it like? And that list grew to cities from all 50 states, including people from Virginia, from where Marie's from, and 15 to 20 different countries. And that list still grows today because I still play online for fun. But as I started playing online, I played a lot of team-based games where you have to work together with people to achieve a goal. So to win a game, capture a flag, beat another team. And that was a competitive aspect, but then I also saw non-competitive aspects where people would collaborate, they'd create buildings, we would do creative competitions where people would build little cities together. And so I had all this background, and I spent a lot of time leading groups and people from all over the world, ranging from small to large groups. And near the end of my undergrad at my university I went to, I was at home sick for 2 days, and my friends told me, they said, you should try out Minecraft. And so I was at home, I wasn't feeling well at all. I was like, okay, I'll try this out. And, from that first moment, the game fascinated me. And I remember with my friends on the first map I was on, there was a small lake close to us. And so we cleared out an area around it and built a city together. We built a bank, we built a quartermaster area so where we could put all of our supplies. We built houses. One of them even built a 4-story tower with the office for me, and they gave it to me. And then we went out mining, so we got to explore different parts of the map, different terrain and environments. And so after that experience, I kept playing the game. I was really fascinated by it. And so fast forward to the spring, and this would be in 2016, I graduated with my undergrad from college, and then I decided to do a master's degree where I was studying government and cities. And with my friends, so at the same time I started that degree, we were building a massive city together.
Wow.
Originally, we were going to build carve out a cave and build like a underground like night city together. But just like with how modern cities are, our plans changed, and we built a massive city close to a river, and it was just incredible. We had a downtown area. I lived in an apartment complex I had the 4th floor to myself. Everybody built houses. We built a west side to the town, an east side. One person built a farm that was way out, and they dug a massive hole and put a pool of water at the end of it. Because in the game, if you fall a long distance, if you land in water, you're okay. It's like a trampoline. But if you hit a real object, you pretty much die instantly.
Right.
So he carved out a massive cave that went from where our city was to his house. And so doing all this stuff, I saw the creative potential of the game. And I had that in the back of my mind as I was studying government. I saw it play out in our city we were building together. So I told one of my professors about it. I had no clue what they'd say. If they'd be like, you need to go outside, you need to talk to real people, get away from the screen. But they listened to me. And so we worked together. We created a graduate course where students could learn about government and then apply it through the game. And by the end of the course, they'd have a city that they had built together. And as we were working on this course, we just had all these other questions, and we felt like there was something there. So we kept going after we had our initial innovation grant that we won for it. We started giving talks across the country, co-authored a book chapter, did kids camps that sold out with virtually no advertising. We grew our course. And as I did all this, I knew there was something there, and I had a goal to create my own business. And so I took my gaming expertise that I had, and then also my experience as a project manager, and put them together into my company, where I get to offer these fun team building activities, but then also help people stay on track to get their project needs met. And really they go together. I've had people I've worked with where they have a new project team. They want to do a team building activity and then do a project. And so I really think they go together quite well.
Cool. And I can definitely see how passionate you are about bringing the two together to help businesses to really help with their leadership skills and training and so forth. And that's really important. So I have a few questions for you, and I don't want to get too far off the beaten path here. But the first one comes to mind is, how do you, when you're working with as a project manager and you're working with teams, how do you engage customers and teams at work? Because I think that's really important when because, you want to engage teams, but you also want to engage the customers. So how do you be able to manage to do both as a project manager and in using gaming as a means to do that?
Sure, I think that's a great question. With customers, I always start with doing a needs assessment, so understanding where they are, where their organization is, what service I have that could help them. So if it's helping run a project, doing some training, helping them build project teams, or doing a team building activity, learning about how gamification can help them, setting up like a virtual engagement plan, or doing a mix of some combination of all of that. But doing that needs assessment, and then once that's done, putting a proposal together, reviewing it with the customer, going through the procurement process, and then just kind of going from there. As soon as they're ready for me to start, ready to start. And I think with going to your other question about project teams, it really comes down to, I think, getting to know people. So understanding who you're working with, being respectful of everyone, and coming out with a good intention too. So the intent I always try to come at is, how can I help other people be successful, regardless of where they are? And I tell people, the way I like to try to talk to people or be open is whether I'm talking to a raccoon, which I haven't had happen yet in the workplace, or the
Maybe
CEO
in the
of a
cartoon
company.
world.
Yep. I want to be able to connect with them and, put them on a path to be successful. And, in the case of a project, it's really important to understand what motivates the people that you're with. Some people want to have that career enrichment. Others just want to do the work that's required, but understanding the team, what motivates them, and then gain them on a path to success. I think that's the best way to go. And with team building activities, those are so important, because anytime you have a new team, you start off at the forming stage. So forming is where you've got high energy, so everybody's excited, but there's low performance. Everybody's trying to figure out how to work together. And so after forming, you go to storming stage, where there's some conflict that happens. People have different ways of working, and they're trying to resolve that. So your energy goes down, your work performance is low. And then once you get past that, you go to norming and performing. So your energy level goes back up, and you hit that productivity that you want from your project team. And so doing team building activities with games like Minecraft, Icebreakers, helps you get to that performing stage faster.
No, that's perfect. And you mentioned how, and I think it's really important that we talk about this, because conflicts happen. Let's face it. You and I may not always agree on everything. We may have to agree to disagree in order to keep moving forward. So and I'm just saying that as an example. I'm not saying you and I do fight or anything like that, but I'm just saying that in the workplace, you're going to come across people that are very difficult to work with, and conflicts are going to happen. And I've actually, case in point, I had a neighbor come to me recently that had a conflict at work that didn't end very well. And I think there could have been better ways that it could have been handled on both parties. But at the same time, sometimes it's just not a good fit. But at the same time, what is your recommendation on how to handle conflict at work? And I don't know if gaming has something to do with that, or do you have something to help us with that piece of that, filling in that, helping us to understand how to handle conflict at the work? Hopefully I answered
That's a
it.
good question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
So
you
I think
mentioned that
the gaming piece of it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you had mentioned it as handling conflict, and I was wondering if maybe you also have a way to help people manage conflict, doing conflict management. And I don't know if you have a gaming, I don't know what they call them, app software, I don't know, or a piece to your gaming leadership program that helps people work through all that conflict management, because there is a process for that. And I was just wondering if you have something that could help people with managing the conflict. So that was really my main question.
Okay. I'm going to answer this kind of in two ways. So the first part, I think in terms of gaming, and looking at using, be it like a face-to-face game, so role playing, or technology, I think you could learn the skills for conflict resolution in a game. And I think that's some of the beauty of using games and gamification, that games are fun. So we want to put more time into them than we realize, because we want to level up.
Mhm.
We want to slay the dragon. We
We
want
wanna
to get
win.
that badge. Yep, we want to win. We want to master that skill so we can go to the
Mhm.
next level. And so when we play games, we put more effort into them than we realize, because we're having fun, we're enjoying it. And so you learn all these skills that transfer the workplace without realizing it. And then there's an element of failing fast. And so in a game environment, the stakes are low. If you make a mistake or a failure occurs, it's much less costly than if you were to do that in real life. So get like real people, real resources, a real project going.
Makes a good practice session. It makes like a good practice
Yes,
session for somebody. Yeah.
yes, and it provides the opportunity to reflect. So you do an activity together. You role play a conflict. Maybe you have someone intentionally cause a conflict to see how people react. You watch how they react, and then you discuss it as a group and reflect on it. What did you learn? How could you handle this better? How could you work with this person better? And I think having that reflection and sharing those lessons learned, that helps do some of that skill development. And even the US military recognizes this. They have gaming simulations that they use to help soldiers learn up to 85% of the skills they need to be combat ready. And so if the military is doing this, we can do this also in the private and nonprofit sectors, and even in education. To go the other part of the question, how I've dealt with conflict, I think it always starts with trying to get all the facts together from the people involved, and then have a discussion. And in the workplace, we're adults. It's important to have people feel heard. But once everyone's been heard, once you have the facts, you've got to come to mutual understanding, and find a way to move on. So a win-win situation, see what needs to be done. In the case of a project, usually what helps guide that process is having a team agreement in place. So to say, if a conflict does happen, here's the process we'll go through to make sure it's resolved. And having that process in place makes it a whole lot easier to resolve it versus if you're kind of doing it on the fly.
Right. No, that's true. And we talked a lot in the past couple 3 or 4 months. I've really kind of been, probably in the last 6 months, we've really been honing in on developing a process for everything that you do. Anywhere from how you use software with your customers or your team, to how you handle conflict, how do you handle delivery. I mean, all aspects from all angles. So this was kind of nice to be able to bring in this piece of it for that to include on that. So brilliant, thank you. And then what are your thoughts on millennials and Gen Z? Some people call it Generation Z, but Gen Z for short, as far as customers and employees are concerned. I'm kind of curious about what are you seeing that's trending with that generation? I think that would be a good way of bringing that one. What is trending with that generation?
Sure, I think that's a great question. And so for the audience, millennials, generally they were born in the 1980s, early 1990s. For Generation Z, they were born, a lot of people put it about mid 90s up to about 2009 or 2010. For both of those generations, so millennials, a lot of them have entered the workforce. On the older end, they might be 40 or so, or close to that. For Gen Z, they'd be in about their early mid 20s at this point. And I think for both of them, some of the trends that we're seeing is, I think first of all, just redefining work. And I think especially for millennials, but also Gen Z, this idea of work-life integration. So it's like I'm at home and I do some work, and then I go to an event, and then I come home and do some more work. And for both these generations, they've spent their whole life connected to the internet, technology, and so they do not think of work in terms of time. Some of them might be up at night, so they might be better suited to work at night. Some might be up early in the morning. But their goal is just to get the task done. And they're not as concerned with the time component of it. And I think the other part is too, going back to the gaming piece, is that both these generations, and soon to be Generation Alpha. So right now there's a whole nother generation being born between about 2010 to 2025. Those are the kids of millennials for the most part, and they've spent their whole life with all this interactive technology, interactive games, and they want to see that in the workplace, be it a simulation with maybe the hiring process. So we were talking about conflict earlier, maybe role playing some of that, doing team building activities, and even customer engagement. So like Starbucks, for instance, they have an app. And so if you buy so much coffee, you get a free cup of coffee,
Like
which
rewards.
encourages you to keep buying coffee. Yep.
Yeah, it's a reward system. Yeah. And that's a good point. A lot of one of the things I brought up was rewards are a great way to retain both customers as well as team members. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. And I think to build on that, for millennials and Gen Z, when they were growing up, their parents often told them, you can make a difference in the world. And these generations believe it. You'll see a lot of them volunteering at different places. With Gen Z, a lot of them have been involved with discussions about climate change and the environment. And so they want to see that reflected in the workplace. They want to see that their employer is making a difference, be it with the products and services they're offering, but also a difference in the community. And then I'd also say that these generations, so going back to the technology, they've grown up with LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, all these tools for finding different jobs. And so a lot of them lived through the 2008 recession, where they saw their parents get penalized for staying loyal to their employer, or they saw their parents get laid off. So a lot of them are creating their own businesses and kind of pursuing their own path because they do not trust corporations. And on the flip side, some corporations do not assume that people will stay. And so it's a double-edged sword with employee loyalty. But I was at a workshop about millennials a couple of years ago, and they said it's a miracle if you can keep a millennial in a job for 18 months. So that's just a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's only that long. And I guess it's sort of the average. Loyalty in a company has changed so much drastically from my mom's generation, who's in her mid-80s, to my generation. Even, I mean, you're lucky to last 2 years to 5 years in a company, and you're lucky to even make it to 18 months. I mean, if you make it to 18 months, you might be over the hill at that point. I don't know, that might be a different perspective for somebody, but and a lot of it is to do with retention. I mean, there's just not a lot of team loyalty or customer loyalty. Well, there's probably more customer loyalty than team loyalty, but the team loyalty is, it depends on the culture of the company and how they create that, and that will determine whether or not they can retain the. That's why I said that's why it was important to bring up what was trending in this particular, creating that work-life balance and stuff, and being able to really hone in what you had just said was really awesome. So, and it is very important to retain both. You cannot just invest in one aspect and expect the other ones to keep up. You've got to be able to work with both. So the next question comes to mind was, what is your experience in engaging customers? I know you touched on it a little bit, but engaging customers in teams and by working with young people. I don't know if you could expand on that if you touched on it already, but I think we were more talking about what was trending. But what is your experience in terms of engaging customers in teams and working with young people in these generations? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I'll take a shot at it. So for some of this, I look back at my experience in Boy Scouts. So I was an adult leader for several years. After I turned 18, I wanted to stay involved and give back to the program. And it was a ton of fun. It was different, being on the adult side versus being a youth. And I think it was good that I had both perspectives, because I could look at the program the scouts were going through in a different way, and then oftentimes help be a bridge between older adults and the youth, to help resolve problems or translate between them. But it was a lot of fun. I remember early on when I was an adult leader, I brought a chessboard to camp, and I'd have kids play me at it, and I told them if they beat me, I'd get them soda or ice cream from the trading post. And you'd be surprised, they tried so hard to beat me, and we had a lot of fun games. I think there's one I can remember that went on for like 2 or 3 hours that ended in a stalemate. But I was a man of my word. I gave them soda or ice cream if they beat me, and I always shook their hand, whether I won or lost. And I was trying to teach them sportsmanship, but then also courtesy. And so after I introduced bringing chess to camp, there was one year where we had no fights happen, which was kind of rare for camp, because if you have teenagers, sometimes they'll disagree with stuff
and they don't know
camp,
don't know how to manage conflict. Clearly, most of them don't. We'll just say, yeah, they like to create
but
it.
what they wanted to do was beat me at chess so they could get that ice cream or that soda that I had in my cooler that they didn't have. And I did team building games as a part of National Youth Leadership Training, which is a week-long program where we teach scouts how to run their scout troop. We'd do realistic first aid. We'd have them build a tripod with knots, and it was a ton of fun. And I'd say with my customers, so looking at how the pandemic's been, having to work at home virtually, I've been able to do some really fun team building activities with Minecraft. And one that I could briefly talk about, I had a group of my associates in the Kansas City area. They'd all been working super hard since COVID hit, and they wanted to reconnect with each other. They hadn't really talked to each other much in about 1.5 years, 2 years at that point. And so I helped facilitate an activity where they played Minecraft together and built a city. And we had a mix of presentation, group discussion, and some fun. And you'd be shocked at what they did. One person was really passionate about trains, and so they built a train station in the game.
Cool.
Another person built a flower shop, food pantry, a bakery. Someone built their business in the game. Cool. One of the people that participated was my mom, and I think the funniest part about it, so I was trying to get a clean pre-event picture where there's like no buildings, nothing there. And so my mom took the class I developed at my university that I went to. And so I told her about this pilot. I said, why don't you come try it out, see what I'm doing? And she built a house in the game that was multi-story. She had pet cats, probably like a pet wolf, swimming pool. And so I go in to take my picture, and I'm like, whoa, there's a house here. And I told my mom, I'm like, we're going to have to tear this down because this is where we're going to build the city. And she's like, I don't want to tear my house down. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I'm her son. I don't want to tear mom's house down.
You had to
So we
find a
just left it
compromise.
up.
Hmm. Yeah,
I just decided to leave it, and
include
she
it.
had a lot of fun too. Yep. Well, and it just goes to show you, people play games, and especially Minecraft, of all different ages. And if my mom could learn how to play it, she had no clue how to play before she took the class I helped create. I think anyone could learn how to play it.
Cool. That's awesome. I was going to ask you if there was if people in the companies that you offered these games to help with the project management and training. I was wondering if the age ranges are more than just the 20s and the millennials and all that, because there's the 50 plus workforce that are still out there working. So I was wondering if you also, and you just kind of proved to the fact that you do use that gaming for other age groups too, not just the millennials and the Gen Z and what is now the alpha. Next thing you know, they're going to do the beta. They're going to follow that Greek alphabet most likely. But anyway, they're already doing that with the virus, so they might as well just do it with the ages as well. But anyway, long story short, that is really amazing. We've got about 10 more minutes, maybe at the most. And I want to be able to touch on a couple more points. And then you have an offer for our group and an action step as well. So the action step is the takeaway that you want them to leave with that they can implement today. And then the action step is, and the gift that you have for our audience is something that you want, it could be a call or whatever it is that you have something for them today. It's just so I'm clear on everybody what those two are. So it brings me up to the next question after that last statement, which was, what are some of the tips, and we can even use this as part of that. What are some of the tips you have for engaging remote or virtual teams? Because a lot of people are still working remotely, because it's a little more easier to do that, but then you still have to find a way to keep them engaged. So what is the way that you recommend to doing that? And give us a little tips on that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we got to bear in mind with a remote or virtual team, it's a little bit different environment versus being in an office. So if you're in a physical office, you're usually in a shared workspace or close to your coworkers. It's much easier to talk to them. You could just walk down the hall or walk to the cubicle and see them. And they're actually there at the
Location.
the location. And so when you work remotely, you could be anywhere. You could be at your house, you could be on a beach, you could be you could be in a lake house. You could be freezing because it's winter right now. So you have a much weaker connection to your employer because you're not around people. And like with my experience working at home, it's just me in my office. I'll see some people occasionally, but I have to be really self-motivated, self-driven. And I spend a lot of time on these kind of calls on Zoom talking to people from everywhere. Yep. And that's where games could come in. Games like Minecraft. I actually saw an article from the New York Times that said people were using Grand Theft Auto 5 to network and do business meetings. Pepsi explored using Minecraft for Six Sigma training last year. So I think looking at digital games, but then also games you could do that are easy. I've done a scavenger hunt game on Zoom. So that's where you've got your video up and you share about an item that's close to you. So I had a team I was working with, and they found out that I had a 50-year-old plant in my office area, which they wouldn't have known unless I told them. And that's kind of, I guess that'd be a tip I'd recommend, is think about ways to motivate and engage your team and try stuff out. Do a scavenger hunt, do a minefield, a plane crash game. Plane crash is where you pretend like you're in a plane that's crashed, you've got 15 items or so, and you got to prioritize them. And I think that leads to the action step for the audience, where I would ask the audience to give games a try. Ask ask your customers or employees what motivates them, and how can you engage them? Is it a digital game? Is it a board game? Is it both? Are there other factors that motivate them? And then the offering I have is to just talk with everyone. So if you're listening to this, feel free to reach out to me on my website. I'm more than happy to connect, and I'd love to see how I can help your organization. And it goes to the broader vision I have for my company, which is that I want to help build a world where everyone enjoys what they do. And just seeing this podcast, getting to talk with Marie tonight, it's been a lot of fun, and I could tell how passionate she is about this. I hope all of you could see how passionate I am. And so imagine if everybody were like that. And not only were they passionate and excited, they're also organized and disciplined, so they could get the work, the projects done they need to, so they could be moving the meter today and tomorrow, so their organization could be successful.
Brilliant. No, thank you so much. And you have something that you wanted to give people as a way to connect with you. So can you give us like a website or some sort of link so that they can look you up and connect with you?
Sure, that's a great point. So you could check out my website, gerardconsulting.net. You can also find me on LinkedIn, but mostly my website. I've got my business phone number, business email on there. But more than happy to talk with everyone and just reach out. I do the best I can to keep up, and reach out to Marie too. She's got a great podcast here. I'm sure she's got some more awesome episodes coming up. So make sure you connect with her too.
Thank you so much. And I've got all the way through the end of February all planned out already, believe it or not. So yes, so I plan several weeks in advance just because I don't want to slow down. Basically, I want to keep the good information coming into our audience and keep our audience fed. And believe me, I have people tell me, oh, that was a great I had somebody just today reach out on Matchmaker FM, which is a great place to go to. It's not a matchmaking lovemaking. It's for, just to be clear, it's actually for podcasts. So if you want to go on podcasts, matchmaker FM is .com, I think, is a great place to go. And it's just like LinkedIn, but it's literally specifically, it's like Potted, but it's for literally for people who want to be guests and reach out to different people and be guests on their shows. So that's just someplace, a tip for you as well as for others who are looking to be guests on a show. They can also reach out to me. I'm always looking for guests to be on my show as well. So thank you for that plug. But definitely go and check out jarradconsulting.com. We're so happy to have Zac come in, sharing valuable tips to help our audience grow themselves or their business on the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast. Oh my gosh. I am really, really happy that you came in and talked about the leadership aspect of it, because I think leadership mindset is really important, and using team building through gaming is to create that customer engagement and also build teams, and helping them feed your team is so important, because what it does is it builds loyalty on both sides of the coin. So you really can't lose by investing in gaming, and that will help promote customer retention and engagement, as well as team engagement and retention, because the end result is you want to retain what you have, right? That's my understanding from that, right, Zac? Okay, just making sure I was clear on that.
I would agree. I think just to jump in too, you want to remember when you're thinking of games that it's a very intentional tool. And I think oftentimes people just think like, oh, I'm using games at work. It's just fun. There's no outcome associated with it. But all the stuff that I do with my company, all the team building activities are all outcome based. So there's some goal achieved. And then games can solve problems. You can use them to fail fast. You can test out ideas. You could do skill development, and also help people learn new behaviors.
Oh, that's a good way of doing that too. And that's why I'm looking into doing that. For my book is coming out soon. It'll probably be ready in the next couple of weeks. I can't wait. And then one of the things I'm going to be talking with Zac and a couple other people about is really creating a video game to be more interactive with what's the word I'm looking for, with on the tip of my tongue. Do you have those problems with it's on the tip of your tongue and it's on the back of your head and you can't get it out? But basically, we were just talking about it before the show. But basically, we're going to help make it reading curriculum more interactive, because having the written documents are great, but sometimes kids need something that's more engaging. And so that's why I want an interactive, because it's also meets the qualifications. So if someone can't, let's say, read something, then they can hear the video games and they can do it, you know, in a different way. So I'd like to be able to access, give people access to all different kinds of ways to learn. And the book is just the starting point. So but definitely I want to encourage you to go and take advantage of it. Yes, it will definitely be on the YouTube page. It's also going to be in the Liberty Virtual Solutions Facebook group, so go and check it out there. And eventually we'll have everything housed in my Liberty Virtual Solutions website. So we're just trickling it in there gradually because well, you know how websites can be a little picky about that. So it's going to be slow before we get everything up there. But long story short, you're going to be so glad you took advantage of his gift, and make sure you connect with him. Make sure you get a consultation. He is so much fun to talk to. As you can tell, we were laughing a lot throughout the show. So he's not the stuffy shirt people that some people might picture some gamers. He's actually fun. So definitely go and check him out too. So thank you so much for being a fabulous guest. And don't forget to check out the merchandise. We have a shop. It's called Marketing Mindset Mastery Shop. And what we're doing as a special during the school year of the 2021-2022 school year is every time someone purchases a backpack, a $45 backpack, a $5 gift card is going to a lucky teacher, which if you have a teacher that you know in the US that you would like to give that to, please let me know the contact information and I will send them the gift card from you. So as a thank you gift. Right now, just go ahead and email me at marievmason@gmail.com. I'll send you the PayPal link. You can purchase it from there. And eventually we will have it, hopefully pretty soon we're going to be having the payment method is straightened out on my website. We've been having a little tech challenge, gremlins. So we're working on straightening that out with my web developer. But anyway, and that will be happening soon. So anyway, please join us again for next week's episode. We're bringing another great guest who is going to bring more tips, ideas, and how-tos to make your marketing and your mindset work for you. Our guests will be providing more tips on how to set your business up for success, because let's face it, after 2020 and 2021 and dealing with all that craziness, we're ready to move forward and grow this year. I don't know about you, Zac, but I am definitely ready to grow. Are you? I think the audience is too. So let's set you up for success this year.
I'm not only ready to grow, but also to have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. We all need to like shake things loose. It's time to get all the crap out of here that we've been dealing with the last couple of years. But we do stream live every Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern time right here on our YouTube channel. And we do post it on LinkedIn and Facebook and other channels as well. So please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and even comment. We do check our comments and we do respond. And then hit that notification button so you don't miss another show. So until next time, this is your host, Marie Mason, saying goodbye from now for the Marketing Mindset Mastery podcast, and along with our guest, Zac Jarrard. And that ends this week's show. So y'all have a great week and stay safe. Bye.